Good morning. You are listening to the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the Internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on FirstTitleServices.com, as First Title and Escrow, Inc. are the sponsors of this program. They are a leading national title agency, and pleased to be working with them. Additionally, this show will be posted on YouTube.com. Our radio show mission statement: to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for real estate sales across the country. We're going to be talking about real estate, different real estate markets across the country. We got a lot of topics today. We've got help and calls from. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Doug. Larry Latham.
Hey, sir. How are you? Well, thank you. I've been giving you some great raves as introduction, but tell us who you are, Larry, where you're from, what you do, and also a little bit about your background, if you would.
Okay, sure. Love to, Doug. Anyway, good morning.
Good morning.
And just wanted to say love the radio show, so
thank you.
Listen to it a lot.
Thank you.
Hey, a little bit of background. Larry Latham, co-chairman of Ameribid. Ameribid is a national auction company, mainly related to real estate and mainly commercial real estate, although we do residential. We do a lot of farm, ranch, a lot of resort properties also, ski resorts, hotels, and that type of thing. The company has been around, new name, actually from about 1997. But the company's been around since about 1981, so we've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Been in the auction business since 1978, I guess it is. And we've sold probably across the country over the years 150+ thousand properties.
I was wondering what that number was, Larry, because I've always kind of thought of you as a mentor, and I competed against you for years, and I'm very proud that I sold about, I'm going to say, 12,000 government surplus properties, and I consider myself an expert in the disposition of government surplus properties, and to hear that you've sold 10 times more than me, that's why you are my mentor, sir.
Well, we've known each other for a very long time and had some great times together. So, over the years it adds up. I guess it's just over a long period of time. It basically is what we're talking about.
Well,
a little here and a little there, and at the end of the day, it sounds like a large number. But
Larry, you were a visionary. You are a visionary, but you started the auction for many different government agencies, and I'm gonna name a few. I'm probably gonna be left out, but you were the first to have a big contract with Fannie Mae, with the Veterans Administration, the VA, the Freddie Mac. You did many properties for RTC, Resolution Trust Corporation. Outside of real estate, you did the first FCC auction that it generated millions and millions of dollars. Give us just a little bit about that, because that's always been very interesting to me.
Oh, that was a very interesting one. We got a phone call on the FCC, and the FCC had sold everything. The radio stations, of course, television stations, were all done by lottery. And so what would happen is you would put in your money, and it might cost $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, depending on what you were trying to get a license for.
Mm-hmm.
And then other people would also put in for it. And they would simply then draw your name basically out of a hat if you qualified. They put all the qualified people that, say, wanted a radio station in St. Augustine, Florida, or, in Huntsville, Alabama, wherever it might be. Mm-hmm. And then when the frequency was available, they would the applications, qualify the people, put them all in a hat, draw one out. Basically, that's how it was done. It was a lottery system.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, if you won the lottery, then you got the frequencies. You could build your radio and television station or whatever it was. And about 1994, they said, well, that's really not probably the fairest way to do it. What we should do is have people bid on it because we're giving these frequencies away. And the FCC really wasn't getting a lot of money out of that compared to what it was. It might cost $100,000 to get a TV license. It might take $30,000 to put in to get a radio license. So they decided what we'll do is we'll auction it. So they went around the country, and they basically went to some of the top guys at Northwestern, MIT, and they were looking for the top professors, the top thinkers on how to do this. And they were looking at folks who could give some input into the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, folks who were in the gaming type business, folks that were in the statistical type business. They put together a group of guys, and of about 18 people basically, and said, okay, how do we do it? Come up with a great idea, and let's see if there's a better way to do it than lottery. Well, the idea was actually auction. And Nash was one of the guys, I think out of Princeton, and they made a movie about Nash called The Beautiful Mind. Well, Nash came up with he came up with a paper, and this paper was, I have the paper around my office here somewhere even today, because I look at it once in a while. I can't understand any of it, but apparently it was a brilliant paper. He won a Nobel Prize on it, but it simply didn't work. I mean, he had students, graduate students, were using jelly beans to bid on what ended up being billions of dollars worth of broadcast frequencies, which was the frequencies for the cell phones that we all talk on today. They were all sold at auction. And the IVDS system was sold at auction, too, which was a little different system. But the system for the cell phones came up for auction. And the FCC had no idea what they were worth.
Mm-hmm.
None. Had no idea what the IVDS auction was. So we went in and created a system for them to be able to sell that. One of the things that did come out of all these folks was that a simultaneous bidding system would probably work better than a sequential bidding system. And what I mean by that, and the IVDS was the only called auction. I called that auction with the IVDS. And I remember Commissioner Hunt, I asked him, I said, well, what do you think it's going to bring? What would you like to see it bring today? And he said, well, $10 million, we'd have a great day. And we're selling, I think, 100 of the IVDS frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
About 4 hours later, the total was standing a little above, I think, $280 million. So they had to readjust their figures for what they thought the rest of the frequencies were going to bring, and they brought about $20 billion. And over the years, from about 1995 to about 2005, I think they sold different frequencies, different telephone frequencies around the country, but they did it all electronically at that point because they had to do it on a simultaneous basis. And I think the total was about $70 billion the FCC raked in that they wouldn't have had they just kept going with the lottery system and not gone to the auction system. That's
an amazing story, and you and I talked a little bit about it. I saw you just a couple of days ago in Las Vegas. So we had a little time to sit down together, and we talked about the past and the auctions. And I found out you at AmeriBid you just had a very successful auction in New Orleans. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We did. The New Orleans Housing Authority down there called NORA, great group of folks, and they've been working on these properties to try to get them back into the hands of the public since Katrina. So many properties were wiped out, destroyed, flooded, and so they started to kind of rebuild the properties and to try to get the properties, and not totally rebuild them from scratch, but get them in either a living condition or take the properties down totally and just sell the lots. And so they finally have gotten to the point over the past 12 months or so, they're now doing that. And they have thousands of properties that were destroyed, partially destroyed in Katrina, which which now they're able to start to the process of getting rid of these properties and getting these properties out of the hands of the so-called government type entities that have been ended up owning these properties, back into the hands of the public, back to the hands of people that can go down, rebuild the properties, or build from scratch in some cases if the whole building had to be taken down, and rehabilitate some of the ones that weren't taken down. And that process started about a year ago. So we went in to try to make that as level a playing field as possible, offer that up to the public, and we're at the convention center, and we had close to 1,000 people show up, and we had about 130, I think, some odd properties, and within just a few hours, we'd sell those properties. Every one of them sold. I think most all of them have closed at this point, and they're looking for some other properties to put up. So yeah, it's a great day for the people down in New Orleans being able to get these properties back, because some of these neighborhoods, some of the properties were rebuilt.
Sure.
I mean, you've got areas where they were really devastated.
Yep.
And so now then they're going to rebuild these areas because now these properties are back into the hands of the private sector. So it's really great for the neighborhoods, several of the neighborhoods in New Orleans and surrounding areas.
Well, let's fast forward. Vegas. Vegas seems like it is doing very well. You live in Las Vegas. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening? Of course, the ups and downs, and we who have been in the auction business in the past have seen that. But Las Vegas was hit very hard. How's it doing now?
Las Vegas, I think, probably overall was one of the hardest hit areas in the country during the recession here, and part of that had to do with just the mediocre or the meteoric. What do we call it? With the meteorites, or whatever it is, rising above.
Yes.
Because for years and years, I mean, there seemed like there was just no cap. Prices kept going up and up and up, and people were moving in. And at one point, I think there was 8,000 people a month moving into Las Vegas. Well, as everything in about 2008, that all changed almost overnight.
Right.
And so Las Vegas was probably the worst hit as far as foreclosures, and still has not totally regained it. There's not a lot of properties for sale right now in Las Vegas. There's still a lot of properties in the foreclosure rolls in Las Vegas in one form or another, one in the process. But in reality, what we see here now is people coming in from all over the country, all over the world, buying up a lot of these properties because the price got so low. I mean, some of the properties, even on the Strip, the condos and all were, 30 cents on the dollar, what they were back 2004, 2005, 2006. And so when the price got to that point, they started getting gobbled up. What I hear now from most of the realtors here in Las Vegas is simply there's no product to sell.
Isn't that something?
And so there may be properties in the pipeline, but as quick as they come on board, they're just getting gobbled up. I mean, they don't last a week.
Well, that's a wonderful story, and again, things go up, things go down, and the places that normally get hit the most are probably Florida, California, Las Vegas.
Arizona got hit pretty bad.
Yeah, I was going to say Phoenix, and some of the downturns, and we've been through a few. Texas has been hit bad, and New England's been hit bad, but that hasn't happened that much this time around. So I am thrilled for Las Vegas. It's kind of like I'm going to have somebody on from Detroit, in the next segment of our show, and he's going to have pretty much the same story, I think, just down in the pits and then rising and rising. So it's a wonderful thing. I want to talk about the NAA, the National Auctioneers Association. You are a Hall of Fame member, elected recently. There's an upcoming conference, and your company, Ameribid, is going to be one of the main sponsors. We've only got a couple more minutes, but why do you believe so strongly in the NAA?
Well, I've been a member of the NAA since probably 1980, 1981. Mm-hmm. It's done so much for the auction profession because their code of ethics really is what I think almost every auction company in the country follows, mm-hmm. and it's a very strict code of ethics. The people that I have met and know, and friends that I have had for over 30 years, I love the convention because I get to go to the convention, see them every year.
Sure.
And we all get busy during the year, so we don't have time to talk a lot sometimes.
Yep.
But it's just great to see these friends you've had for 30 years and be able to talk about old times. So I like to these days.
It's a great
these guys.
It's a great organization, and I'm thrilled to be still a member of it, just like you are. And I'm not a Hall of Fame member like you, sir, but man, it's an amazing organization, and congrats again for being elected to the Hall of Fame. Tell us how people can get to Ameribid, because I know there's more auctions coming up. How do they get to Ameribid to find out about these properties?
You know, the best thing, Doug, really is you go online, you go to Ameribid.com, and really all the information that you'd ever want to know about Ameribid is on that site, Ameribid.com. AMERIBID, Ameribid, Ameribid.com. And I could give you the phone numbers and all, but
sure.
The phone numbers are all on there.
Okay,
and
true.
all the other information's on there.
Okay.
And we'd love to have you visit the website whenever you have time.
Perfect. Hey, Larry, thanks so much for being on the show. You are the first guest of the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. I specifically wanted you. You have been a past supporter, and I'm hoping we're going to do business in the near future, sir. Well,
Doug, I'm honored. Thank you very, very much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And it's great when I get, we're in the same area and I get a chance to, have lunch, dinner, and have a chance to sit eyeball to eyeball and reminisce about some of the things that we've done over the past years together, which is always
Thanks, Larry. I got to go. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.